Hello friends, thank you all so much for joining me again today, where you get to see a lot of videos on business, marketing, and personal growth to aspire towards anything that you want to get. Now, what we're going to cover today are the expenses that will go into your business. And I had mentioned this on my previous video regarding starting your own business step by step, and make sure I gave you all really good information when it came to how much you should be budgeting in order to successfully start your business. So these are some of the expenses I incurred, and there are some that I was able to take shortcuts on, luckily, but it's because I have over 10 years of marketing experience. So I've been able to kind of do a lot of these things on my own. Your number one business expense to start your business after planning is going to be your logo. The design that's going to be connecting your viewers and the people that actually want to purchase from you towards you. And I find that as one of the most critical things that we can focus on is the logo creation, because we want to make sure we connect with the consumers, and that's what's going to go into a lot of your other expenses later. It's just going to be drag and drop. So I recommend that you spend between $45 to $100 on your logo. You'll hear a lot of different apps and websites that could do it for even cheaper, but you want to make sure that you go with the logo that gives you different file sizes, so that way you can expand the logo if you ever decide to put it into videos where it covers the entire video, where you can also put it on your website. So be sure that whatever logo you end up doing isn't too overwhelming, but at the same time it's attractive and memorable to your consumer. Expense number two is your website domain and the website development itself. Your domain will run from $0 to $15. The reason being is if you end up using online software to create your website, you pay monthly or annually, so the domain usually comes for free or at very, very low cost. And your domain would be like Erica Dera's, two domains that I use, and the landing sites that I use for my consumers. So you want to make sure you grab a domain that's very relevant to your brand and that people will easily remember as well. So don't make it too tricky, no periods and spaces and underscores, nothing like that. Just focus on getting a simplistic name, and later you'll drop it into all your social media. If you have a business card, hosting website that you're going to use, like the software where you'll develop your website, I highly recommend that you use Wordpress. It's what I use, and it's what I tell everybody that they should use. It just keeps everything so much more neatly together. It allows so much more flexibility. You can sell products, but you can also blog, and you can do a lot of plugins, so later you can do email marketing and even search engine optimization. Anything that you need, you can drop it in there. So one big recommendation that I do have for you is that you pay no more than $100 to $300 to have your website hosted. So where you're gonna have it on WordPress, I pay $100, and even for my clients, we always drop $100 towards that. Something where you feel you need to put in the expense and you want an expert to do it, somebody that will design it really neatly and make it even more attractive to the customer. Also, remember, time is money. So if you're gonna spend 30 hours creating your website because you really don't know how to do it and you have to do a lot of backtracking and figuring out, it might be worth paying somebody. And I recommend that your minimum is usually $800 for a really good web designer. So I usually start with $800, but it can go all the way up, especially if you end up adding more video, if there are reoccurring products that keep coming in, that go on sale and you need them to be moving all those things around. So plan for $800 to $1,200 on the website design if you hire somebody on top of the software. And those are just the critical things if you want to do online sales or if you just want to get your voice out there through your website. Number three is your social media platforms. So social media platforms are going to be extremely critical because it's a way that you're going to get in touch with your customer on a daily basis and directly to them. You want to make sure that this is all using also your logo, your branding, and you're tying in every single aspect to what you're doing here. And the budget for your social media should be $40 a month, because later on we're going to talk about advertising on social media, how to promote yourself, how to not be too pitchy, but $40 a month will do. If you're doing it yourself, if you're the one doing your calendars, your content calendars, if you're the one posting every day, interacting, doing your stories, you're going to be handling no more than $40 to start out with. And later, as you see profit, you can start putting in more money. You want to make sure that you actually see the consumers are interested and that the following and the viewers are actually coming in. So social media marketing is $40. If you hire a professional to do your social media for you and you can just contract somebody out, I would recommend that you spend between $400 to $600 a month, depending on the quality, style, and make sure you ask them for previous work that they've done, just so that you can see how they would handle your social media. Number 4 would be contract writing. I did some of the contract writing by myself, doing a lot of research and then talking to some of my friends that are in legal, but I highly recommend that you end up doing either your own research or hiring somebody out to do these. So to get your contracts done and to even start discussing about your entire brand and your entire company in general, you should be hiring an attorney. And getting an attorney should cost you between $200 for just one contract or $1,200 for a set of them. So if you want to make sure that if you're a service business, you're following and your consumers are following the practices that you have for your business, having that contract that they sign allows you to make sure that they're not going to back out of an agreement they had with you, or that they can't legally go after you if they do end up deciding they don't want to follow through with what you all decided. Even for products like the return policies, the agreements, all of that can also be helped through a lawyer. Now, if you're just starting out, you don't even have profit, you can also look into doing some of this work DIY and doing research. But I do highly recommend that as you start growing even a little, that you go into that step. It's going to be an important part of growing your business. Number 5 is going to be product. So number 5 product is, in my case, I'm a service business. I do all marketing, so kind of like a marketing agency and coaching. For me, I don't really have any product costs. It's more software that I use online that I spend in. So I highly recommend that as a product company, if you do jewelry, makeup, perfumes, caps, anything like that, no more than $400 to start out with, because it is going to be a trial. You're going to see how good you can market your product, how well people are actually buying into it, and you don't want to throw all your money in at once. Now, if you're a service business, you can still budget yourself at $400 for all the software that you're going to be using for your marketing, email marketing tools, anything that you want to use later on, any plugins that you want to be purchasing extra for your website, or even using and buying different font styles, apps. You can still budget that, but honestly, I spent no more than $100 doing all the extras for my service business. Number 6 is going to be your online training. How much you spend to learn? It depends. How much do you already know about business? I ended up doing my bachelor's in business. So for me, a lot of the things, the schooling had already come. It's part of my background. And also the implementation, working for 3 different corporate 500 companies. I've already understood the implementation. I've learned the education of it as a marketing teacher. But if you are, say that you're doing something else, that you're an English teacher and you're starting your own business and you're so excited, but you really don't know, how do I start from scratch all the way up? So instead of having to go back and do your bachelor, get information from coaches that actually already understand what they're doing. And there's a variety of coaches that I follow on my Instagram and on YouTube that I learned from. But definitely I recommend between $300 to $3,000 the most that you end up buying for coaching. Now, if you feel like I know exactly what I want, I know I'm not going to shift my business into another idea, I want to get a solid background, then definitely you might end up at the higher end. And I would say to look into maybe $1,000 coaching to $2,000 and really get full training on that. Number 7 is keep track of your expenses. The way I keep track of my expenses and my invoicing is through Square. And I'm sure some of you have heard of it. It's a way to invoice your customers, to charge them. And you can even place, it's almost like an online store through an app. It's very simple to use. And you can just add the different services that you're doing or products, and you can sell directly through your customer through email. And they just pay, you invoice it, and you have track of all that later on for your taxes. So that is a really simple one. It's completely free. The only thing you're going to pay is like a 2% or 2.3% every time that they pay through there. So you want to make sure that if your pricing is very sensitive, that you add that percentage in the cost and the taxes in order to get the money that you need back to pay your taxes later. Number 8 is going to be your video calls like Zoom. So when I started, I would pretty much do it in person because I'm really comfortable going to coffee shops and talking to people one-on-one. I've always enjoyed the interaction in front of a person, enjoying a nice cup of coffee that way to figure out what they're currently doing right. But for your expense, if you're going to be doing a lot of video calls, whether it's for trainings for people, or you're going to be pitching different sales for a product and extended technology that you're selling, you want to make sure that you have good access to either Zoom or some sort of video app that you can use as well. And I'll link a few down below that I recommend. When you start out, of course, you can use FaceTime if you don't have a budget for that. But later on, you might want to invest $15 a month so that you can get the full hour, full service, full scheduling on Zoom, which is the one that I really, really like. Next expense that you're going to incur, number 9, is product shipping. And that's only if you're product based. If you're service based, you won't need the product shipping unless later you're planning to do like an ebook or kits that you want to send out in print, agendas. So be sure that you also budget for that eventually. But as far as product, charge the customer if you can when it's small orders. If it's a small order, $10 order, you want to make sure you charge them, because then it's going to cut and eat into your cost way too much and you're never going to end up profiting or even breaking even. So make sure you do charge it. Now you can have bundles where $45 to $50, you end up giving them free shipping because it won't eat so much into your profit margin. Number 10 is quality images or photographer. So for me, I ended up getting to meet a really good photographer, and so usually I recommend you can use a photographer for your website pictures that you want to use, or even for your social media, but you don't need it all the time. Sometimes you can do photos with your iPhone, videos. I do a lot of things with my personal iPhone, but then later I got a Canon, and this camera is really good, and it ended up costing between $700 to $900 depending on what you add on. Like I ended up adding a mic and then the SD card, but it's up to you what you're going to be doing. It's a Canon EOS, and I'll link it below as well in case it is something you're interested in. But if not, just go with a photographer, $120, know exactly what you want pictures of once you develop your product idea. If you want photos of yourself, of the setting, everything, that way you have all that ready for your social and website. You don't want to be hiring a photographer every 2 days. You want to make sure you have a good plan, and that hour that you're going to have together is very efficient. So those $120, which is what I recommend that you start out with, is something that you can really, really use and profit from eventually. Pretty much all the tips I have for your expenses, and there are 10 of the major expenses that you'll use. Obviously there's more if you end up trademarking, copywriting some of your things, as well as registering your business, but you have to do your research when it comes to all these things for your state specifically. And a lot of the times those things will take time. As far as trademarking, the registration, you can do it immediately, but you want to make sure you do your own research on those things, just because the pricing will vary into it depending on where your state is. And I really hope that these tips were beneficial to you and that the expenses seem reasonable. I totaled everything up, and averaging some of the higher costs, I came up with that it should cost you between $930 if you're a service business to $1,330 if you're a product business. And this is what the more basic standards to start out with. That way you can hit your profit margins a lot faster, and so that you can break even pretty quickly. But definitely consider all your options. Open up a spreadsheet, go ahead and put in everything that you want to do, all your expenses, and then do some research on each. But that worksheet that I mentioned, I will have it in my website, and I'll link it down below in case you want to download it and you want to edit it to your preference as well. Make sure that you do go back and rewatch the video if there's anything that you missed as far as expenses later, because you don't want to overpay for certain things that you can actually either do yourself, or when you're paying an expert, that you can actually look for the price range that is fair. I'm really excited for you all to start your business, and I'm very happy that you've chosen me to guide you through it. Please continue to watch my videos and do subscribe, press the bell button, because it'll allow you to keep seeing me as often as I record videos and to keep benefiting from learning all the tips and tricks that I have for you. As well as do follow my Instagram. It's Balderas Marketing, and you want to make sure you're still getting tips. It doesn't matter how much you know about business, there's always new things to learn, and that's what I figured out working with different clients and doing something new to learn. And I'd love to share those ideas with you. I'd also really like to hear from you. So comment down below if you have anything else that you'd like to learn. Actually, this video was requested by one of my viewers. I hope you're watching. And I'm really happy to share it with you all so that you can start working on beginning your very own business. Thank you all so much, and have a great day, my friends. Bye.